Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Amit and this is the Alto K10, which has made its re-entry in the market after having been discontinued when the S-Presso was launched. Cars are getting more and more expensive. I continuously get to hear this from everyone I know. People cannot wrap their heads around the fact that cars are getting insanely expensive. And while a lot of car manufacturers are moving away from the budget scheme of things, I think Maruti has figured that there is indeed a need for well-rounded budget cars, and in that context the Alto K10 has made its entry into the market again and underlines the fact that Maruti is damn serious about the budget segment of the market. Now the Alto 800 is already in the market, but of course it has its own limitations. The power is a little less, and in terms of space also it's not the most comfortable. So in that sense, now this car gets the hard-tech platform from the S-Presso, which is pretty good and has grown in length, in wheelbase, has grown in height, and is now a more complete car as compared to the Alto 800. In terms of the design also, it looks more evolved, and the little quirks of the Alto 800 are missing here, and this one looks a more well-rounded, a more well-proportioned car to my eyes. The edgy, slightly disproportionate curves of the headlight that you have on the Alto 800 have been very nicely rounded off, and the bumper has been smoothened out. It looks very nice, and there is really nothing that you can criticize about this car's face. The Alto 800 has this twin radiator grille setup. This one has this nice, neat honeycomb mesh single piece grille with a small slot underneath, and I generally like the neat and clean face of this car. Now this is a budget car, so you don't have any DRLs. You have this basic halogen reflector with a bulb as a blinker, although if you want you can have a front parking sensor installed as an accessory, but it's a very neat face and I quite like it. Definitely better than the Alto 800. In terms of its dimensions, over the Alto 800 it has grown in length by 85 mm. In terms of height, it's taller by 45 mm, and in terms of wheelbase, it's longer by 20 mm, and in that sense now the cabin is a lot more spacious. The power over the Alto 800 is up by 19 PS and the torque is up by 20 Newton meters. And there are 4 variants in all. There's the standard, there's the LXI, there's the VXI and VXI Plus. Before I get into the cabin, I'll let you know all about all the features that you get in all the variants, but let's keep it for the time when I enter the car. This antenna that you see here is available only on the top variants. On the lower variants you don't even have an audio. The door handles are pretty basic and they are also black on the base variant. However, it does look very nice and very clean from the side and has a slightly tall boyish kind of a stance to it, so that even taller people won't find the space inside constraining. The wheel here is a 13-inch unit and it's shot with 145 section tire. You have these wheel caps. Of course it's a budget car, so you don't really have alloy even as an option on the standard trim, although as an accessory you can have it. The ground clearance is 167 mm, and that's pretty good. I drove it over some really bad surfaces today, and this car can really tackle bad roads with ease. The fuel tank here is 27 liters, and with its fantastic fuel efficiency, that should endow this car with a pretty good range as well. You have a high mount stop lamp, which is a bulb, and the rear bumper, just like the front, has also been completely overhauled. Looks very nice and neat, and the vertically stacked tail lamp cluster of the Alto 800 has also been slightly horizontalized and rounded off and looks nice and neat to me now. This being a budget car, you cannot just press a button and open the boot. You either will have to open it with the remote boot release, or you need to have the key in your hand. In my case, I'm going to be using the key, and the boot here at 214 liters is up by 47 liters as compared to the Alto 800. And as you can see, we have put in a lot of stuff here. The loading bay is deep, but if you compare it with the Alto 800, the gains are significant and you can really carry a lot more stuff here. For a small family which is going out for a short weekend, I think there is enough and more space here. The spare is also full-sized, so that again is a great thing to have. Overall, this is a more well-rounded car, looks nicer, is better proportioned and is more practical also. Before we enter the car, as I promised, I'm going to let you know everything that all the variants have. So the base standard variant doesn't have an AC, it doesn't have a power steering, it doesn't have any audio, it has black bumpers and a black handle as well. If you move to the LXI variant, you get an AC, you get a power steering. The black bumpers are replaced by a body colored bumper, although the door handles would still be black. In the VXI variant, You'll get body colored door handles. You'll get an audio system in the form of a smart plate dock. You won't have a touchscreen, but you can really put your smartphone and that can double up as your touchscreen for the car as well. On the speedo, you'll get a distance to empty and average fuel efficiency readout, and you'll also get the power sockets on the dashboard. You'll get auto lock as well as central locking on the VXI. On the VXI Plus variant, you'll get the SmartPay Studio touchscreen. You also get silver inserts inside the cabin, which makes it look nicer, and you get steering mounted controls as well. So those were all the features on the 4 variants. However, if you want more features, you also have a ton of accessories, and Maruti has put together a lot of these accessories in 2 packs, and if you combine the individual cost of all the accessories versus the packs are significantly cheaper. These 2 packs are known as the Impacto and the Glinto variants. And as compared to the individual accessory prices, which you can see right now here on the screen, you'll save anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 rupees if you go for the packs. Now, as I mentioned, you get central locking from VXI variant onward, and you just have to press this button to enter the car. And the first big difference that you'll see over the Alto 800 is that you now have a bottle holder here. You don't have it in the Alto 800, so that's a great feature. You also have a map pocket, and you have this little cubby hole, and these silver accents that I was talking about is there on the VXI Plus variant only, and makes the interior look rather nice. The seat height also has been increased, the seat quality has also been improved, and the Alto K10 overall is a more comfortable car, not just to sit inside but also to enter. You obviously don't have a seat height adjustment here, no dead pedal either, no steering rake and reach adjustment. However, as I mentioned, you get these silver inserts on the steering wheel, on the central panel, and around the AC vents on the top of the line variant. You have the headlight adjustment here. The stalks look very nice and solid, and these steering mounted controls, which are meant for volume, seek, phone, receive and cancel, and voice commands. Voice commands, by the way, are enabled only when you connect your phone with the car. All of these things are very well laid out and very easy to use. You also have this mute button. And the one thing that I can say about this entire dash is that it's very neat, if not very posh looking. Everything is very neatly done, especially if you compare it with the Quid. It looks better quality and better finished. Let's quickly have a look at the speedo as well, and you have all of these telltale lights. It's pretty basic. You have this speedo unit here and a basic fuel efficiency gauge, and you have 2 trip meters, instantaneous and average fuel efficiency, which you get only on VXI variant onwards. Remember, you also get range, and that's pretty much about it. In terms of storage spaces, as you can see, you have this space for a cell phone or anything else that you want to put here, 2 cup holders, and some more space to spare here. Now, this space here could probably have been a little bigger because it doesn't fit a full-sized touchscreen phone properly. In fact, the Alto 800 has better space here. You have a 12-volt power socket and a USB socket along with an aux in, and both these sockets are nicely covered. This touchscreen works beautifully well, and by connecting it to your phone, you can have navigation also on this. It also comes with some apps, and this works really well for this segment of the cars. The power windows here for the front are placed here, and of course they are not one touch down or anything. And at the rear you have the wind down windows. You only have manual option. For the rear you don't have power windows, and a manual mirror which is not day night. Now, the AC, as we have always seen with Maruti Suzuki cars, is fantastic, and today it was quite hot, and the AC chilled the car's cabin in no time at all, and in that sense this AC works fantastically well. You have manual controls for the AC though, and you can increase the temperature using this slider. You have these modes here, and the flow control is here. You can turn the AC off from here, and the recirculation toggle is from here. Glove box is small, but it's quite functional, and the seats, as you would imagine, are not the most comfortable. It's a budget car, but I am larger than an average sized adult, and the seats are wide enough. There is some bolstering also. The headrests are integrated. Of course, it's a budget car, so they are not adjustable. But for medium journeys, I don't see this seat as being uncomfortable. Of course, over really long journeys, you might find it a little uncomfortable. But during my 100-kilometer journey today, I did not find any problem whatsoever with these seats. And for most part, during city driving or short highway stints, this seat should be perfectly fine. You also don't get any electrical controls for ORVMs, and again, this is a budget car, so you cannot expect that. But overall, what I really like about this cabin is that, especially in the VXI Plus trim, it looks like a decently equipped dashboard, and for the segment, it has all the necessary features. But more importantly, everything has been laid out very neatly and is built to last. And for someone who's looking purely at functionality, this fits the bill perfectly. Let's see how much space we have at the back seat and how much of an improvement it is over the Alto 800. Now, unlike the front, you don't have any bottle holders here. One thing that I forgot to tell you is that for the VXI Plus variant, you get 4 speakers, which is a first in segment feature, and that really improves the sound quality. Although the sound quality here is something that you should not have very high expectations from. It sounds well all the way till the mid levels, but if you blast the volume, then obviously it's not very nice. So if you want better audio, you'll probably have to replace the standard audio. So you don't have a bottle holder here, and you also have this manual wind down windows with a handle and this satin silver look for the door pull. The good thing that Maruti Suzuki have done is that they have raised the height of the seats so that it gets much easier for the elderly and for women to get inside, and the seat height is about ideal. Getting in and out is really easy, and for a small car, the knee and leg room that you have here is really amazing. It's fantastic. The headroom also is fantastic, and I really cannot complain with the kind of budget that this car is being offered at. This car doesn't feel like a very small car or a very claustrophobic kind of a car. It feels like a spacious car with these big windows and ample light coming in. You have integrated headrests as you would expect. The seat can be dropped down, but there is no 60-40 split. You have 3 individual seat belts, although the central seat belt is a lap belt. You have these handles for the rear 2 passengers and the front passenger, not on the driver's side. And this little space is available to put whatever, like if you want, you can probably put your cell phone here. It would really have been nice had we had any seat back pockets, because it would have given the back seat passengers some space. The space at the rear is good, but to put your knickknacks, you don't really have any cubby hole, so that probably could have been addressed with seat back pockets. The thigh support definitely could be better, but it's a budget car, so I'm really not complaining. The quality of the foam is also par for course, and overall it's a decent car, although the width of this car is actually slightly less than the Alto 800. So in terms of shoulder room, the Alto 800 may have a very small edge. You can seat 2 adults comfortably here and maybe a child also. Since the middle part of the seat is flat, you can also seat an adult here if you have to go for short journeys. Now, with the hardtech platform having been introduced and the suspension having been improved significantly, the comfort at the back seat, especially with the better insulation, is much better than the Alto 800, and this is a significantly better experience overall if you compare it with the Alto 800. It comes across as a more grown-up car. Now the big news here is the 1-liter engine, and it's got dual jet, dual VVT, which means that it's not only more fuel efficient, it's more tractable also as compared to the Alto 800, and I'm really impressed with this engine. The highlight of this entire package now is that how it is improved in every aspect that you can think of. With the hardtech platform, the car feels a lot more grown up, the chassis is more mature, the suspension is more compliant, and the whole car feels like it's a bigger car than the Alto 800. It feels like a more mature, more well-rounded, engineering wise a more evolved car, and that really is something to say for this budget, because for this budget really this car feels very well-rounded. I did a little test, and in terms of outright acceleration also it does not disappoint and does its 0 to 100 sprint in only 13.5 seconds, which is pretty damn good. The tractability here is also fantastic, and in the 5th gear you can easily use this car at speeds as low as 40 kilometers per hour, in the 4th gear 30 kilometers per hour, and in the 3rd gear from as low as 20 kilometers per hour. I also did a test on the gear speeds, and in the 1st gear this will show you a speed of 46 kilometers per hour on the speedo. In the 2nd 86 kilometers per hour on the speedo, and in the third gear it'll cross the 100 mark and go all the way till 128 kilometers per hour. So it's a pretty swift car because it's light, it's sub 800 kgs, so it really goes very quickly even with that power. The power here is 66 PS at 5500 RPM, and the peak torque is 89 Newton meters at 3500 RPM, and it really does feel like a very capable car for its budget and for the segment that it represents. Now, apart from the tractability, it's fairly refined also as compared to the Kwid. Especially this engine feels a lot more refined, very linear, very usable, and the biggest thing with this engine and this package is the fuel efficiency. And with the AGS, you'll get a rated fuel efficiency of 24.9 kmpl, and with the manual it's slightly less at 24.3, but in the real world you'll actually get a fuel efficiency which is unbelievable. On this road, I drove it for about 40 kilometers. It's an open road, there's hardly any traffic, and I was driving at about 80 kilometers per hour, not trying to hustle it too much, and the fuel efficiency that it showed me for 40 kilometers on that meter was upwards of 32 kmpl, which is absolutely fantastic. And in the real world, if you're driving on an open highway, you're not in a rush, you'll easily get over 30 kmpl, and within the city also 18-19 kmpl is easily attainable. So in that sense, in today's times when the fuel prices are going through the roof, this car, for people who are really budget conscious, people who don't want high running costs, this car probably the most fuel efficient car that you have out there. The clutch is light and the gear shifts are also mildly notchy, but nothing to complain about. There is no rubberiness, there is just a little bit, wee bit of notchiness which you can disregard. It's not something that's worth a bother, and should not be a deal breaker at all. The only thing that could probably have been better is the steering, which doesn't really have any life to it. It's very vague, it's very light, and it doesn't have any feedback at all. So it's very light, and had there been some more weight to it, maybe some more precision, it would have made this car a little bit more fun to drive. But I understand that this is a budget car, and if you really want a sporty drive, then you should probably not be looking at this segment. So I'm not complaining. It's very maneuverable in tight spaces and very easy to use car, very tractable, very strong low end torque, and very practical. Suspension also is very mature as compared to the Alto 800. Now it's more absorbent. At high speeds, the car feels very stable. The braking is better than before, although it has front discs and rear brakes. But even at high speeds, the brakes do come in just when you want them, and they have a decent amount of bite. The tires here are 145 section. They are not the widest of the tires, so if you're going fast around corners, you will hear the tires screeching. Also, if you're accelerating hard, you might hear them screeching. So tires are a limiting factor, and I would not encourage you to drive this car very sportily. But having said that, at speeds which are fairly above triple digit, over 100, this car feels very stable and very planted, and shows maturity which we have not seen from Alto before. So in that sense, it is a more likable package, it is a more complete package. NVH control is much better than before. I cannot hear anything from the outside, and especially for the segment, I really think that this is very well insulated. Except for the steering, I really cannot complain about anything, and for this budget, I really think that this car presents itself as a very competent driving package. Now, what we are driving right now is the AGS or the AMT version of the new Alto K10, and as always, it has been very well tuned. Maruti Suzuki has been tuning its AMTs rather well, and this one is no exception. Does its job rather well. It's not as quick, obviously, as a torque converter or a dual clutch transmission. There is a very mild lag, but of course, the good thing is that the head nod that we experienced with the initial versions of AMT has been taken care of completely, and as long as you're driving it on part throttle, you would hardly be able to figure out if the gears have changed. So in that sense, the smoothness has improved a lot. Of course, if you want to downshift from a higher gear and you press the pedal to the metal, it takes a wee bit before figuring out which gear to get in. Also, the upshifts also, take a wee bit before it upshifts. That minor lag is there, but apart from that, it's a fantastic technology if you are going to be driving in bumper to bumper traffic. So in that sense, it's a fantastic economical and fuel efficient technology that has been developed of late. And in fact, this variant gives you better fuel efficiency than the manual, and the rated fuel efficiency on this one is 24.9 kmpl as opposed to 24.39 on the manual. You can also move it in manual and shift gears manually if you so wish, so that again gives you some freedom. And an additional feature that you have is that you get the gear engaged and the mode chosen, whether you're in drive or manual, on the instrument console. So all in all, it's a very beautifully sorted AMT or AGS system, and if you live in a city where there's a lot of traffic, you should definitely be going with the AGS version of this car. Now, with a bigger size, more space inside, a bigger engine, more power, and even better fuel efficiency, of course, this is a more expensive car as compared to the Alto 800. It's a significantly better car as compared to the Alto 800. For the base variant manual, this car you'll have to pay about 60,000 rupees extra. This car is priced at 3.99 lakh rupees ex-showroom as opposed to 3.39 lakh ex-showroom for the base variant of the Alto 800. For the top of the line VXI Plus variant, the price here is 5.33 lakhs as opposed to 4.42 lakh rupees on the Alto. For the AGS variant, 5.5 lakh rupees and 5.83 lakh rupees is the price. There is no CNG right now, but in times to come, Maruti plans to bring the CNG. So if you're planning to buy the CNG variant, you should probably wait for a little while. Now the S-Presso is essentially a more practical car than this because you have a little bit more boot space and a little bit more headroom also there. And in terms of pricing, if you compare it with the S-Presso, the base variant there starts with 4.25 lakh rupees, which is about 25,000 rupees more. And the top of the line manual is 5.5 lakh rupees, which is about 17,000 rupees more. For the top of the line AGS variant, the S-Presso will cost you about 16,000 rupees more ex-showroom. There is also the Quid, which is more expensive than this car, but in terms of fuel efficiency, I really think that the Quid cannot be a patch on this car's efficiency. And in terms of real fuel economy and cost of ownership, the Alto K10 is really unmatched. So if you're in the market for a car which is no fuss and gives you the most bang for your buck, if it's just the personal transportation that matters to you more than anything else, then the Alto K10 is one of the strongest contenders in the Indian market right now, and you should definitely go out and take a test drive of this one. If you like this video, hit that like button. I hope I was able to answer all your questions about this car. Still, if you have any queries, put them down in the comment section. I'll try to answer them personally. If you like the video, do hit the like button. Subscribe to Motoroids. We are there on Facebook and Instagram as well. Do follow us there. And until next time, this is Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.